Okay, so here's what we're going to do first. With these two ingredients, we're going to go ahead and make either it's most likely known as farmer's cheese or ricotta. And what we're going to go ahead and do is heat the milk up to my meat thermometer. We want to bring this up to about 185-ish, but you want to do it on low. If you actually bring this up to a um, to temperature too high too fast, what'll happen is you'll actually scorch the bottom of your pan, and it will actually cause the farmer's cheese to actually have a burnt taste to it, and that's not what we're looking for in this recipe. Okay, now that we've come up to temperature, I'll go ahead and take this off. Actually, now that we've come up to temperature, we'll go ahead and we want to add the lemon juice. Now you can use any type of acid that you want to. You can use lemon juice, you can use vinegar, citric acid. The thing is that whatever you use is actually going to leave a focus. Thank you. Like leave a taste in the cheese, since the recipe that I'm going to use is actually going to call for lemon juice. We're just going to use lemon juice. And we're just going to add a little bit, maybe about a quarter cup. And you can see it already separating. See that? And it is just that fast. Okay, and then you want to keep this heating. You kind of want to bring it up to a boil a little bit. The hotter it gets, the more it's going to separate. Okay, here it is a couple minutes later. Didn't take that long. I raised the temperature up a little bit. What'll happen is that everything will separate. The white is the cheese, and the liquid will actually turn yellow. See how it's starting to turn yellow? That's the whey. I'm not keeping the whey, but I will save it to give to my animals. Now, this is almost done. Now what we're going to go ahead and do, once it is done, I actually have over here cheesecloth and a strainer and a bowl. I don't know if you can see that too well. What we need to do is we actually need to strain the cheese, drain the whey, and then I'm going to hang this overnight because the recipe we're going to use, we're just going to use the cheese portion, which is the curds. And I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like once I get everything put together. Yeah, that's done. All right, time to strain. Okay, so here we have all the cheese, still warm, that I can go ahead and hang this up in my kitchen and let it drain. And that is what the whey looks like. See how bright yellow that is? It's still draining. Okay, and you can actually cool that off. You can make whey cheese with it. I'm not that patient because it does take a while. So I'll just use that in other cooking. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and let that drain, and I will see you in the morning. Okay, now that the cheese has drained itself, I went ahead and hung this up overnight, and this is what the cheese looks like. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the bowl. And believe it or not, we're just going to add a little bit of salt to this because right now it's very bland. We want to have that cheese flavor come out. So we're going to crumble it up, add about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt to this. Not much. Now you can hang it up a little bit more, but for this recipe we want a nice soft cheese. In order for it to get a little bit harder, you would have to let it hang for another 24 hours so it can dehydrate and get the rest of the moisture out. We want that moisture. What we're going to go ahead and do with this is we are going to add 3 eggs, a package of cream cheese, about a tablespoon of lemon juice. This is homemade plain yogurt. I make my own. And add sweetener of your choice. Now I'm using stevia. This is about the only thing that does not raise my blood sugar. You can use, if you're using regular sugar, use a 1/2 cup of either white sugar, honey, maple syrup, any sweetener of your choice. But since the stevia liquid is so powerful, I'm only going to add a few drops. And then we're going to go ahead and mix everything up. And this will be the filling for our cheesecake cups. Okay, so we're going to use this bowl, crack the eggs in it, make sure there's no shells in the eggs, and add them one at a time. And then, so I don't have to do so many dishes, I'll take this cream cheese. Now there's a certain way that you're supposed to open up the cream cheese package. You're supposed to open it up on the side like this, tearing everything together apart. Now once you get to the foil, see these little tabs? Go ahead and open those up and bring up the little lip. Make sure it is extended all around. just like that. Now what you want to do is that you want to go ahead and open this like a bag of chips. And it opens the entire way around. And you have a perfect block. This was in the freezer, so it's a little bit grainy, which is okay because we're using it as in a recipe. We're not using this for a dip. I'm going to go ahead and stick it in the same bowl. And I'm going to go ahead and soften this for about a minute in the microwave. And clean up a little bit. Okay, 30 seconds later, we have cream cheese. That is pretty much liquid. So we want to add that. Start mixing a little bit. Now this is going to be a little bit lumpy. That's okay because it's real cheese. I thought I was going to use a regular whip on this. I think I'm going to bring out my electric. I don't have a mixing bowl with the thingy that goes around. Not yet anyway. Like I said, things are coming. I've got a new stove coming after Christmas. We've already ordered it, already paid for it. We're just waiting on it to get in here because of the shipping issues. I want a new kitchen, which means getting this one. Eventually it will happen. And I'm going to go ahead and stop filming because my husband just came home with some ice to help brine the turkey. Okay, and through the magic of YouTube, we're going to go ahead and continue. I got the mixer out. Use what you have. If the only thing you have is a whip, use it. I'm going to go ahead and put in a half a cup of my freshly made, I just finished this up this morning, freshly made plain yogurt. Some people or some recipes call for sour cream. Sour cream is good. I find that this is a lot easier on my stomach. And we're going to go ahead and add about a tablespoon of lemon juice. Maybe a little bit more. That's all I got. Need more lemon juice. I'm making grocery lists while I'm doing this. You want to kind of mix everything in. And then you're going to add your sweetener. And your sweetener goes in last. There's a reason. You want to be able to have that sweetener sit and dissolve really nicely if you're using regular sugar or whatnot. a little bit more than a few drops, but a nice squeeze will do. Make it a little bit sweeter than normal. Now that we're done with these, we can put these in the sink. And back where they belong. All right. Start on low. And if you haven't completely made a mess of your kitchen, because you choose a smaller bowl to do this in, then you want to cover this up and put it in the fridge for about an hour. Let it chill a little bit before you do anything with it. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and make the bowls that the cheesecake's going to go into. Now, this is a personal recipe of mine. I'm going to go ahead and put everything in the description. First thing you want to do, get one of these. I love these. This is a bowl maker. You put your batter in here and it actually makes your bowls. Let that heat up. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to take some almond flour, almond flour. We're going to add a cup. About a cup. Okay. This is where the whisk comes in. Gonna add your 2 eggs. I'm not doing it properly this time. I get shell. I'm tired. And mix that in a little bit. Now I'm going to add some oil to this. The oil in the batter actually helps make sure that it doesn't stick in the device. Okay, you can use any oil that you want. I am personally using some animal fat. You can use butter, melted. You can use olive oil, avocado oil, anything that's healthy for you. But I am actually going to add a lot because this will actually solidify whenever it gets cooled down. A lot, I am probably 1/4 cup. Then, normally, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add the baking soda, which is a tablespoon. At this point, I usually do, no, not a tablespoon, teaspoon, sorry. Now, usually what I do is I'll make my little mini waffles with this and use the little mini waffles for like a bread substitute because this is keto. But since we're making a sweet dessert with this and making bowls, I'm going to go ahead and add 1/8 of a teaspoon each of nutmeg, allspice, and ground cinnamon. This is where the pumpkin spice comes into this recipe. And then again, we're going to go ahead and sweeten the batter. Sweeten it to taste. If you're using regular sugar, I would recommend maybe 2 tablespoons of sugar in this. Same with honey or maple syrup. And that batter is actually done. And start making our bowls. Make sure this is hot, preheated. Now, always follow the directions with these. You don't need a lot to make a bowl. Maybe that much? Maybe a little bit more. About a tablespoon. You press down. Let it fry itself for about a minute. And then you can release and let it cook for the rest of the time. It'll take about 3 to 5 minutes for these to actually fully cook. That did not come out too well. And you want to fiddle with the batter until you actually get what you want. Added a little bit more almond meal and a little bit of water to make this more of a consistency that I want. There we go. You're going to have your bowl. And go ahead and cool. And we're going to repeat this until everything is filled up. Okay, now that we have all these done, see the little cute little bowls. Okay, make sure that the bottom is not too thin. You want to get rid of those because of the fact that you are going to fill these up. We're going to do this, and then my oven is busted. We're going to use this to actually cook the cheesecakes in. So we're going to go ahead and fill these up. Like I said, this is kind of cottage cheese-like, but that's okay. Any mess you make, you can always clean up. It's not going to take all of this. We're going to do this in batches. But that should do it. I'll go ahead and put these in here. Make sure it's preheated. I'm going to go ahead and preheat. We're going to do 350. It's going to take about, check these in 25 minutes. If they need a little bit more time, go ahead and do that. But most likely 30 to 35 minutes at 350. Okay, here we go. So these have been in the cooker for a little bit, but let's go ahead and take a look at these. And a little crispy on some of these. It's the first time I've ever actually used this as an oven. So let's go ahead and bring these out. They actually look quite amazing. I mean, I put some whipped cream on here or some jam. I'm actually going to put my cranberry sauce on this. So look at that. Nice and firm. Very amazing. And it has its own little bowl. So these will be dessert for Thanksgiving.